after hearing what all is happening in Telangana as far as policies are concerned and seeing the kind of passion and dynamism the government as well as the Chief Minister and his son seem to be working at, I'm a little worried that my World Food India might be the first and the last one I'm going to host, because he's going to hijack my event and not only hold it in Telangana, but probably lead it himself as well. So, he's telling me he's going to try also. I have to be careful whether I want to make you the partner state even or not. So I congratulate the state on all the things that I'm hearing are pretty amazing. I think if a minister of the central government is getting impressed by the kind of policies and the work that's been done in this state, I'm sure investors from all over the world, when they come in, and if you can be there to convince them about this, I'm sure the one-point stop that they are going to have for the food processing sector is going to be Telangana. And I feel that this is one sector which is not only high growth and high profit, but actually, if you look at the food sector in India, it's a sector that the entire world is showing a lot of interest in. Today, not only is India one of the highest producers of food in the world, with the largest in producing milk, the second largest producers of fruits, vegetables, cereals, marine, but we're also one of the largest consumers of food in the world. We're the sixth largest food and grocery market in the world. We're one of the largest retail sectors is also India, where we are $600 billion retail sector, which is set to treble in the next 5 years, or 3 years actually, to $1.3 trillion. And 70% of this is food, of this retail sector. So when I talk about figures like this anywhere where I go in the world, there's no country in the world that can afford to ignore India with this 1.3 billion population base, with its food sector, with its retail sector at $600 billion set to become $1.3 trillion in the next 3 years, and 70% of that being food. And one of the highest growth areas, which is beating agriculture, beating manufacture, is the food processing sector. So looking at this scenario, I would say that in the last 3 years, our Honorable Prime Minister has laid a lot of focus on this one sector, which has the potential to address many key issues which are plaguing our nation today. If on one side, the farmers of our nation are under distress, where they spend their sweat, their toil, their blood, toiling hard to make this country food surplus, but there are enough cases of the farmer distress, which is very common in almost every farmer state of our country. On the other hand, where we are one of the largest producers of food, we are also one of the countries which has the highest amount of wastage of food as well. And in a country which has 1.3 billion population where many sleep hungry, I think our targets have to be zero tolerance for food wastage. Because this very same food wastage, if it was processed, there would be so much more availability that even as consumers, when we face these spikes in the price rise with inflation, where the kitchen budget goes out of hand for every household, that too would be under control. And we cannot forget that food processing is also one of the highest generators of employment as well. So in a nation where 50% of the population is under the age of 50, where we have food wastages to the tune of 1 lakh crores worth of food gets wasted annually, where we have farmers who are committing suicide because they are not getting proper remuneration for their crops. The more the food processing industry will progress, it will address all these issues, because this is an industry whose raw material is the farmers produce. And today we are processing only 10% of what we produce. So even a little bit of increase in this will have a very positive impact on not just revenue generation, but also employment creation on addressing farmer issues and bringing down wastages. So when I see any state which is taking progressive steps towards increasing food processing in their state, I think they're doing the biggest service that they can, not only to the consumers and the farmers, but to the nation as a whole. And which is why I think our Honorable Prime Minister, 3 years ago when we took over, the first thing he did was separate the food processing ministry from agriculture, because agriculture is such a vast subject. It was not getting the kind of attention that food processing, the kind of potential that it had. And in these 3 years, a number of steps have been taken to create an environment where food processing from its 10% must go up. We first of all created a corpus of 2,000 crores in NABARD, where cheaper rate of interest people could, for the food processing industry. We gave it priority sector lending for the banks. We reduced a number of excise duties, custom duties, and a lot of other taxation issues were addressed. FSSAI, which was a huge roadblock as far as clearances was concerned, was totally revamped to harmonize our Indian standards to the way globally things were done. And then putting in a lot of investment. If we talk about this Kisan Sampada Yojana, which you have just saw the presentation that Anuradha ji gave you, 6,000 crores has been allocated to put up units inside the 42 mega food parks which are coming up across the country, out of which 4 of them are in Telangana itself. Now anybody wanting to put up a unit in any mega food park can avail of a subsidy up to 5 crores of rupees. The cluster scheme, where there is, you don't have 50 acres and do not want to put up a mega food park, then through technology we are mapping clusters throughout the country of perishables, and where there is a lack of infrastructure, and in a targeted fashion putting up infrastructure over there for processing, for conservation, for preservation and all these things. So 10 crores of rupees for anybody wanting to put up a mini food park under the cluster scheme. And another 5 crores for a third scheme, which is directly going to impact the farmers to create backward and forward linkages, to link them to the market, to handhold them and turn a farmer from just a farmer towards value addition and eventually towards an entrepreneur. So these 6,000 crores, which is being put in just by my one ministry alone, is going to leverage investment worth almost 31,000 crores. We're going to process agro-produce 334 million metric tons, where the value would be almost 1 lakh crores. It would directly and indirectly impact almost 25 lakh farmers and create almost 5 lakhs worth of employment, and will increase the current processing levels by at least 5%, if not more. This is just what one ministry is doing. But now with all these policy decisions that have happened, the kind of environment that has been created, and the biggest policy reform which came in the food sector was to allow 100% FDI and multi-brand retail of food, which is produced and manufactured in India, which is a decision this government took last year. And the impact of completing the chain, where one side we are working to create the infrastructure, and now we have allowed 100% FDI and multi-brand retail, and allowed the creation of the market as well, which this infrastructure can feed. And the result has been that from last year to this year, there has been a 40% increase in FDI in the food processing sector where food is concerned. And this year, in the last 2 months alone, $183 million has already been attracted in the food processing sector in FDI. So when I looked at this scenario, and I found that when I went across the globe, any country that I would talk to where the Western markets are aging and they are drying up, they're all looking for newer avenues. When they look at our population base, when they look at this rising middle class with disposable incomes, wanting ready to eat, wanting all the latest food which is available across the counters everywhere else in the world, they cannot afford to ignore India, and everybody is very interested in coming to India. But the beauty of it was that they all wanted to come in with local partners, which is, I think, just what our country needs, because we need to learn from their technology, we need to learn from their know-how, we need to upgrade our systems. And where smaller countries like Malaysia, Thailand are processing 70-80% of what they produce, we are just at 10%. So we have a long way to go. And the more partnerships we can have, and like I say in very simple Hindi, विदेशी पैसों से जो स्वदेशी किसानों का भला हो सकता है, I think it's a win-win situation for us. So which is why, after the Honorable Prime Minister agreed to my request of allowing 100% FDI, I realized that now the stage was set and we were ready to forge these partnerships to take it to the next level. Which is why I thought of World Food India. Why should India go around to the SIAs and the Anugas and the different countries and participate there, hoping to get some joint ventures? I think we are ready to invite the globe and invite the world to come look at what India has to offer. And when we have got states like Telangana who have done such a lot of work in this sector alone, imagine what all different states have done, and the world doesn't even know about it. So which is why this World Food India concept was conceptualized. I'm happy to say, you must have seen in the presentation, it's received an amazing response. Practically all big countries, either they are wanting to partner in it, but they're all definitely participating in it. It's going to have states participating, where every state gets to highlight their policies, their produce, what they're wanting to move ahead in, what they're wanting to collaborate in, and where all these countries come and also highlight the same thing, and it's a meeting ground to take this partnership ahead. The only different thing in this World Food India, which also I hope Telangana will take a lead in it as well, that while business happens and the exhibitions and the sessions and all carry on, the different thing we're doing to the other worldwide fairs is that we're going to have a very vibrant food street. And the reason for this was that when I went around and saw the multi-retail stores, these big branded, whether it's a Walmart or a Tesco or a Sainsbury, all these big places I went to, and especially having a young daughter who has just gone abroad to study, every trip of mine was filled with suitcases of food for her to eat. She wanted the dal, she wanted the biryani, she wanted everything. And I'd walk into those big, huge stores, and in the Indian section, there would either be an Indian curry or a butter chicken masala, and that's about it. There was nothing else. Whereas in our country, one state to the other, the cuisine differs like one country to another. We have different desserts, we have different beverages, we have different foods. And with the population base today, every sixth human being in the globe is an Indian. And look at the amount of foreigners settled in, expats settled in every other country. If I talk about my state, Punjab, the Punjabis have taken over the Canadian Parliament and the Australian Parliament. And the UK, they're probably going to take over UK very soon, the entire country. Now, these guys all want something. The Punjabis want their makki ki roti and sarson ka saag and their desi lassi from back home, which they don't get. And if we're making it in my state, why should it not be available on their retail counters? So when I talk to the Sainsbury's and the Tesco's and ask them, they don't even know about this. So same way I would say that people from your state settled abroad, I'm sure they're dying to have what is available back home in their villages with that local flavor and all. And this is the same story everywhere, whether North India, South India, West or East India. So why I decided this food street, that let these people see what all India has to offer. And let them see what they want to take back, what their people in their countries might like, what their palate might like. Because today Indian food is becoming so popular globally that a small city like London has 67,000 Indian restaurants. And I went to Rome, and a little city like Rome has 19,000 Indian restaurants, all flooded with people. So if Indian food is so popular, why should they reap the benefits, and why should our processing industry not reap the benefits? So the food street will showcase, every state will showcase their cuisines, and it's an opportunity for foreign retailers to tie up and take back to their retail chains. And at the same time, I would find that a lot of foreigners would say that, yes, we want to come and make in India, but allow us to import first so that we can try it out on the Indian market and see whether the food even appeals to your people, rather than set up the infrastructure and the factory and then find it doesn't sell. So this food street will give them an opportunity where they will actually be able to first-hand on that food street taste the effect of their food, the dipstick or the palate on the Indian people and how they react to it. So they will not have to go through those procedures of importing, then selling through a retail outlet, and then after 1 year getting to know the reaction on the Indian palate. Within 3 days, they'll get to know how the Indian people like or dislike what they have to offer. And if they like it, then they've got an opportunity to go and collaborate with many of the people who are there ready to get into the same line. So this vibrant food street is what I hope that you will also, any of you who are processing things which you would like partnerships in, you must go and participate in that food street as well, and let the people get to know what you have to offer. So I invite you all. I thank the Honorable Minister that he has decided to become a partner state, because I really truly do think with the kind of policies that you have to offer, with the kind of work that is being done in this sector, you must be in the forefront showcasing and highlighting, because today the pride of India where the food sector is concerned are 2-3 states, and the big ones like Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, these are in the forefront when I go abroad and I speak to them. And these are the states which most of the people are interested because of the raw material base you have. I mean, you're number one in so many things. I was just trying to find out what all is being produced here. You're number one in turmeric as far as I know, in sweet oranges, grapes, mangoes, tomatoes, pomegranates, papaya. I mean, the amount of things which grow over here, horti produce is so rich. Like he says, 6 different kinds of soil. I doubt if there's anything which doesn't grow here. So all the people who want to partner, and we've given you 4 mega food parks where each park can ideally take in about 30 odd units. So 4 into 34 parks, you've got so many units where can just come up in these mega food parks, just plug and play. Look at the opportunity there. Look at the opportunity of the farmers tying up with these industry people, because at the end of the day, If the raw material is the farmer's produce, what the farmer needs is the industry to tie up with him, give him the seeds, give him the technology, handhold him, buy back from him, and that's the way the farmer is going to upgrade and move away from, you know, those primitive farming methods to the way I see the way it's done in the West, where it's so scientific that through science they tell you at what time, how many millimeters apart the seeds should be, how much of water must be given, and that's the way this vertical farming is taking place in the progressive countries abroad, and look where we are. So we've got a long way to go. And I hope that with this World Food India, we'll set the base, and I look forward to the challenge thrown at me by my young minister here, that he's going to hold the next one, 2018 World Food India, bigger and better than what we do it. So let's see, here's the battle, whether I do a better job or you do a better job than me next year. Let our country benefit from two people competing. So thank you so much, and I look forward to a huge delegation from you. I look forward to a ministerial delegation. I hope there's a sector that you will choose which you will want to highlight for your state. We'll be happy to hold those sectoral meetings, invite people worldwide who are interested in that particular sector, and actually brainstorm to make it not just collaborate, but actually find that the output is something which ends up benefiting, because we're not just wanting to showcase. We must collaborate and we must reap out of that and grow out of that. So I look forward to that, and thank you all for being here, and I thank you for having me here as well.